And we're very fortunate to have her here today. Before I tell you about this bill, I do want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me a heads up on it the other day. And I did actually do a little drilling down on it, and I think it's very good policy. And it's really not, this whole thing isn't about adding or subtracting workload, but it is about what I think this whole body is trying to do, which is streamline government. And let me tell you about it. Hopefully you will agree. SB 433 seeks to shift the responsibility of setting the gas and diesel excise tax.
Members, it's file item number 5. I'm sorry, my number's wrong here. Thank you. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, sir.
We okay here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Responsibility of setting the gas and diesel excise tax rate to the Department of Finance beginning in the 2016-17 fiscal year. Members, the department already performs these calculations in the governor's yearly budget, so no additional responsibility would be given, nor would the DOF require additional staff to do this. They do it already. This bill would streamline and the process by eliminating the duplication of efforts by the BOE and the DOF. The Board of Equalization is an agency that collects taxes and performs tax audits. That's their mission and that's their job. The agency was never intended to forecast prices on goods like gasoline. To address the concerns of the Department of Finance, we had a good meeting with them the other day. I'm going to take an amendment which would change the date that the department would be required to adjust the fuel excise tax rate from March 1st to May 15th. And as you mentioned, we are very lucky to have the esteemed Fiona Ma here with us today to answer any questions that you might have.
Welcome home.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's nice to be back. I'll just give a little history of this bill for those who may not have been here. In March of 2012, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed 2 fuel tax measures, ABX 6 and SB 70, to be effective July 2010. This is commonly referred to as a fuel tax swap, which adjusts the rates of the sales and excise tax on gasoline. This legislation was designed to be revenue neutral, essentially ensuring overall state taxes paid by consumers at the pump are the same as they would have been paid under the prior tax structure and does not produce a net revenue gain in state taxes. Each year, the BOE's role is to maintain revenue neutrality and mandates the BOE to adjust the excise tax rate annually by March 10th to be effective on July 1st of the coming fiscal year. The Department of Finance currently provides us with the necessary data. As the governor's chief fiscal policy advisor, the Department of Finance prepares economic forecasts and analysis of various economic developments at least 4 times a year and uses the most widely accepted forecasting methodology. The Department of Finance's economic forecasting unit already does this work as part of their annual budget process. Since enactment of the fuel tax swap in 2010, the BOE staff has simply applied the Department of Finance's fuel consumption estimates and forecasted prices as determined by the Department of Finance at the end of the year and adjust their figures based on the most up-to-date forecast before our March meeting. Essentially, the BOE is performing a duplicative effort and process that is performed by the experts at the Department of Finance via the budget process. This bill makes sense. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any folks in support? Any folks in opposition? Any questions from the members?
Mr. Chair, is
Certainly.
this the best solution? I mean, I went through it. I just wonder, it just seemed like a patch as opposed to a thorough solution.
I would ask the Board of Equalization members sit in front of you. She's been both in the legislature, now she serves in that branch of government. Ask what she asked her.
Yeah, so I was there in 2010, and now I just went through the first hearing on the Board of Equalization. No, I actually don't think it is the preferred method. I think the Department of Finance should be the body that sets the rate. I understand back then there was a partisan look at the issue. Republican governor, Democratic legislature, they wanted a separate body to adjust the rate. But as Senator Berryhill states, we are a tax auditing, collection, administrative body. We are not an economic forecasting body. And during the last March meeting, to have the BOE members forecast or predict what the gas prices are going to be each year and set that rate cannot change each year, which creates a potential problem in over-collections or under-collections. And we really think, I mean, if you're asking my opinion, I think the Department of Finance should be able to adjust the rates and have more flexibility during the year.
The taxpayers can access you and the 4 others, right, where they can't access the Department of Finance.
Well, but once we set the rates are set. There's no changing.
A public hearing, right?
At one public hearing in March.
At least the public has a chance to weigh in and appeal to you if they disagree with it, or is it going to be set in stone regardless of which department does?
In theory, yes, they could come and say, perhaps they disagree with the rate or have other suggestions, but that's not typically the case since it's a complicated calculation and it really just comes to us for an adjustment or determination. In this case, the Department of Finance recommended, I think, a 5.5% decrease. And then the BOE adjusted it to 7.5 based on a new economic forecast right before our March meeting. But we felt that the gas prices were already going back up and that the Department of Finance's numbers, were more accurate. It would create a smoother cash flow effect and without requiring us to over-collect and then potentially having to refund money back to the wholesalers.
Yeah, the Department of Finance is really the experts in this deal, Senator, and we feel it's a good way to streamline government, and it's duplicated right now. And you're adding an extra layer of government, and we think this is just a very efficient way of a very complicated way that they do this, that the Department of Finance is more ready to do this than BOE.
Thank you, Senator Berryhill. Mr. Chair, as a former supervisor of Orange County, I trust the State Board of Equalization a little bit more than I trust the Department of Finance. So, Member Ma, I'll just give you the kudos and say, okay, if you want to let go, great. I get it. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Senator Bell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think one of the things that's changing in this is the SB 321, which is the bill that we approved in this committee previously, at a previous meeting, and that would do the averaging technique for the setting the tax rate. So it's going to be a multi-year averaging. I believe that Senator Berryhill's bill is correct in that the people that are better at those kinds of things once they start doing this multi-year averaging would be the Department of Finance. I think they are more capable. I believe that the Board of Equalization will rely on the expertise of the Department of Finance to actually do the averaging. Is that correct, pretty much? If we once that bill is implemented, I think that it would be simpler and easier to do. The other issue is the Board of Equalization is a separate governmental body, but the Department of Finance is subject to actions of, in a sense, the legislature, including this committee. So we could, if we wanted to question something, we could question it through the budget process or through this committee in some way. If we felt the rate was not correctly set,
Hearing right now.
we can have a hearing and discuss it and make them actually explain their process if we needed to do that in terms of a hearing on the rate setting for this. So I believe Senator Berryhill's bill is correct and would move the bill.
Okay, I was going to have Senator Wynn move the bill, but we will move the bill. Do pass to appropriations, SB 433. Secretary, call the roll.
Hertzberg.
Aye.
Hertzberg, aye. Wynn. Aye. Wynn, aye. Bell.
Aye.
Bell, aye. Hernandez. Laura. Morlock. Morlock, aye. Pavley. You have 4-0.
4-0 vote. Okay, we'll hold the roll open. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And Senator, next up, file item number 6, Senator Leyva, SB 477. Thank you for your patience, Senator.
No problem.
Thank you, baby. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present SB 477 to you today. SB 477 would reinstate mobile home owners as eligible participants in California's property tax postponement program. Assembly Bill 2231 from 2014, last year, reestablished the property tax postponement program, which provides property tax assistance to certain lower income households. At that time, 2231 omitted mobile homes from eligibility. This left mobile home owners, many of whom are low-income seniors and/or disabled, vulnerable to the tax sale of their home. SB 477 would ensure that low-income disabled persons and seniors who live in mobile homes are not at risk of losing their home because of property taxes. The state property tax postponement program helps ensure that these lower-income residents and households who qualify for the program do not lose their home to a tax sale. I accept the amendments that are recommended in the analysis, and also let me kindly mention the work of the committee staff. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. I have with me Mr. Brian Augusta and David Wolf, but before I get to my esteemed experts, I have a couple fun facts for you. Chair Hertzberg, you have 29 mobile home parks in your jurisdiction. Senator Wynn, you have 84. Senator Bell has 68.
Wow.
Senator Hernandez wins with 90 mobile home parks.
Wow.
Senator Lara has 68. Senator Morlock has 68. And Senator Pavley has 45. So this would be a win-win for all of us. And I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Touche. Very good.
Mr. Chairman and members, thank you. Well, I would have thought that Senator Wynn had the most, so Mr. Hernandez will get to know each other better. I'm Brian Augusta on behalf of, excuse me, of the Golden State Manufactured Homeowners League, statewide association of folks who live in manufactured housing, and also on behalf of Western Center on Law and Poverty. Our clients and members who are low income and seniors would benefit from the extension of this program. As the Senator discussed, mobile homes, manufactured homes have long been a part of the property tax postponement program until it was suspended in 2009. Now in the reenactment last year, they were not included. We have been working with all the stakeholders to work to put them back into the program and provide protection to low-income seniors and persons with disabilities so that they can access this program. They have historically been a small portion of the program, and we expect that they will continue to be a small number proportionately, but a very important part for those low-income homeowners who need the assistance to ensure that they can pay their property tax. For those reasons,
Sounds good.
we would urge an aye vote.
Excellent. You had me at hello. Go ahead.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. No, I'm kidding. I'll be brief. David Wolf here with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. There is precedent for us supporting this bill. We were strong supporters of AB 2231 as well. We do believe this should be broadened to mobile homes. Many seniors, many of our members live in mobile homes, and it just seems like appropriate tax policy. Ask for an aye vote.
Oh my God, this is fantastic. Who else is in support? This is good. Let's, in the meantime, yeah, let's go. Anybody else?
Catherine Borg with the Western Manufactured Housing Communities Association. We're a support if amended, but I think that, reading the recent amendments, I think might take care of one of our issues, is just to make sure that the home has enough value so that if at the end of its time, it's not left on our property and then we end up having to pay that property tax lien. So, but I think that the amendments go a way to help that.
Great. Any other support? Any opposition? Questions, members? Okay. Ms. Vice Chair.
You mentioned that there was 2 amendments you requested. What was the other one that was not?
Oh, we actually officially didn't request any amendments. We're just generally just wanted to make sure that, you know, that when the mobile home is considered in a manufactured housing community, that it does have enough value to be able to not collect the tax on there, because in the end, if for some reason it is left in our care without like a
Get stuck
family
with the
member,
tab.
yeah, we get stuck with the tab. So we don't want to have to pay it.
May I ask the Senator, is that addressed or in the bill?
I think it was addressed through the amendments, yes.
The amendments? Okay, thank you. Just want to be clear.
Anybody else? It's moved by, oh, sir, Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just having been a former treasurer tax collector, this was rarely used in the County of Orange. I'm just curious, do you have any data on how many individuals have filed for this
Yes.
opportunity per district or county or?
Not broken down by county, but
I would say my expert does.
if I may, well, actually, and this data is provided to us by the Controller's Office, but historically, right now, so these are loans that were outstanding prior to reenactment, which the program is not up and running again yet. There are 5,154 outstanding loans. 227 of those 5,100 or so, 227 were for mobile home owners. Does that answer your question?
That's out of 58 counties. How many were filed, say, in my county? Of the 55,000?
Well,
Do we have a breakdown by
I'm sorry, I don't have that, although we could work with the Controller's Office to get that for you and get it to you.
minimus number? So it's,
Given that there were 227, it's probably small, either way.
And we could get that for you. This is more, it isn't necessarily an issue of there's this great need out there, Senator Morlock. It's more about fairness. If you own a mobile home, you should be entitled to the same tax.
That's right.
nice to see that some people are using it, because it wasn't used a lot when I was in office. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And with that, we got a motion from Senator Nguyen to pass as amended to appropriations. Right? Okay. Secretary, call the roll.
Hertzberg.
Aye.
Hertzberg, aye. Wynn. Aye. Wynn, aye. Bell. Aye. Bell, aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hernandez, aye. Laura. Morlock.
Aye.
Morlock, aye. Pavley. Aye. Pavley, aye. You have 6-0.
Thank you, Mr.
6
Chair.
votes. We'll hold that roll open. Thank you very much, Senator. Okay. Senator Hill. Senator Hill's measure is SB 661, correct? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Shall I begin?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Members and Mr. Chair, during my time in the legislature, I've authored several bills to make government more efficient, allowing CalSTRS to use more electronic transactions to save money, reducing duplicative state and federal regulations for biotechnology companies, clarifying tax regulations for solar companies, which led to job creation in the state. This year, I'm authoring SB 661 to improve the way California handles tax assessments for airlines. We're the only state in the nation with multiple airports that uses a decentralized county assessor system instead of a single state assessment system. 20 domestic airlines fly into 28 airports and have to file taxes with 8 lead counties in addition to filing paperwork with 10 other counties they fly into. This results in airlines having to spend hundreds of extra hours of staff time when dealing with California compared to other states. This bill would require the Board of Equalization to assess air carrier personal property instead of counties. The BOE would use the same taxation formula in statute that county assessors currently use. I'll repeat that. The BOE would use the same taxation formula in statute that county assessors currently use. Local governments would receive the same amount of revenue since the taxation formula is in statute. The change would be revenue neutral to local counties. The only change is that airlines would have a more efficient taxation process since they would comply directly with the BOE. The BOE currently assesses the property of public utilities, electric generation facilities, gas and electric transmission companies, telecommunications companies, railroad companies, and companies with inter-county pipelines and water courses. This debate has been going on for over a decade. Airlines and county assessors have been trying to figure out a more efficient system. We've tried filing in each county, then the lead county system. These attempts have not achieved the efficiencies and uniformity the legislature envisioned. It's time to establish a one-stop taxing agency system. Recent amendments sought to address opposition concerns by requiring that the current taxation formula be used by the BOE and clarifying that the 4-year audits will continue to happen. I have a number of witnesses, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, please, sir.
Fiona Ma, member of the State Board of Equalization. The State Board of Equalization board members support this bill. We voted on it last month. As Senator Hill stated, we are the state assessor on many different assets that we have: pipelines, flumes, canals, ditches, aqueducts, railroads, telegraph, telephone companies, utilities, electricity. The bottom line is the State Board of Equalization feels that we can assess and regulate commercial airlines. This would be appropriate if the legislature finds that this function should be transferred from the locals to the state.
So you just were on a bill that said we want to give away authority. Now you're on this bill that says we want to get authority.
I'm about fairness.
You're about fairness.
I'm about what, who does the job best.
This reminds me of that good old Abe Lincoln story, although it doesn't directly apply, but I'm going to take a chair's privilege and tell the Abe Lincoln story. He's trying a case in the morning. You got to hear this story, Madam Vice Chair. It's a good story. And it reminds me of Ms. Board Member Ma. And he's trying a case in the morning, and he's arguing like a son of a gun for his client in one of those old courtrooms, and the windows are open and the fan's going like this. And right before the noon recess, the judge bangs the gavel and rules in his favor. That afternoon, he comes back. He happens to be representing the client on the second case. And the second case, he starts making his opening argument, and he's arguing exactly opposite of what he argued this morning on the other side of the case. And the judge says, wait a minute. You're sitting here this morning, you told me that we should rule this way, and I ruled in your favor. Now you're here in the afternoon, another case arguing exactly opposite. And Lincoln says, well, Your Honor, this morning I was wrong. Now, it doesn't exactly apply, because I think you're right on this one too, but it's kind of a fun thing to talk about. All right, I'm sorry, please. Huh? I think it's a good story.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name's John Dredd, and I lead the state and local tax function for Southwest Airlines. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to let me speak with you this afternoon in support of this bill. I know that Southwest is very proud of our service to the state of California. We began service in 1982. Since that time, we have expanded to 9 airports in 8 different counties in the state. We employ over 4,100 Californians, and we pay in excess of $80 million a year to the state of California in various forms of tax, and we're very proud of that. We're happy that we're able to support the communities that our employees live and work in, as well as our customers. The problem that we have is that the system of compliance with the regulations around property tax are so burdensome and so complex and confusing and labor intensive that we would like to appeal for some help in this area. It's been said that it is, with the lead county system, we have a one location place to file our returns. I'd like to say that we file 71 different return forms. We have forms for every single airport that we serve. Those forms are then consolidated into one file and uploaded into an SDR system into one location, but there are still 71 different returns that we have to fill out and upload into the SDR system. In uploading to the SDR system, we have 12 pages of technical computer instructions in order just to get that file uploaded into this system. I have to hire a computer expert to come in to help do this process. We also have to bring in a member of the help desk of the tax system that we use internally, and we also have to have a contact at the SDR system in order for those 3 technical people to get together just to upload this file. Once the upload occurs, we have to work out all the transmission errors that occur. And you upload a file over the internet and some formatting things kind of go a little haywire. Well, we have to track down every one of those errors before we're able to upload our file. Once we do that, once we track down the errors, we've done the 71 returns, we've tracked down the transmission errors, before we can upload the file, we have to manually reconcile 390 pages of individual asset records to ensure that the information that we're reporting accurately transferred into the SDR system. I have to hire an additional accountant to come in to do this work. There's no search, there's no sort function within this system, and so in order for me to comply with my objective of reporting all of our information accurately, I have to do this reconciliation in a manual process. This is so burdensome on us, I cannot believe that it's not also burdensome on the jurisdictions that we report to. In fact, 14 jurisdictions, 14 counties in the state of California have opted out of this SDR system, including San Diego County, our lead county. They just said, we're not going to do it. You file manually to us. After we completed our upload, several counties didn't get the information that they needed, so we had to do manual reports for them as well. And that was Sacramento, San Mateo, and Alameda counties. We had to do manual returns for all of them as well. So the fix that was created to try to help with this compliance burden is actually worse, because now we have both manual and we have this incredibly complicated tax system that we have to use.
So if you were to show, if you were showing that pile is the 380 pages you have to file, if you had to show if this law was enacted, what would you file?
About 16.
About 16?
Yes, sir.
I assume the paper companies are going to be against this. Go ahead. Okay, please.
Yes.
Good job.
So with the state of California, it takes my staff, and I'm just one airline, well over 200 man-hours to complete this return process.
Staff hours.
In the state of Arizona, it's about 16 hours. In the state of Colorado, it's about 20 hours. In the state of Washington, it's about 20 hours. So we really feel that it would improve the process and save a tremendous amount of expense for the state and for the industry.
Very good.
Thank you.
And just a question, you said you pay $80 million in all in on taxes to the state. How much of that is the personal property tax related to this measure?
About 22 million, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Michelle Peelsticker, State Board of Equalization. I'm representing the full board in support of the bill. And I just want to point out that our extensive experience has seen relatively few appeals. For example, over the last 5 years, a total of 165 appeals were filed, and they resulted in only 6 board hearings, most of the disputes being resolved at the staff level. State assessment applies to airline property in most other states that impose a property tax, so SB 661 with further efficiency, consistency, and uniformity in assessment practices. And for those reasons, we're in support. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Eric Metke, tax partner at Nielsen Merksmer, representing Airlines for America, the industry group for the domestic airlines. I just want to touch on a few things Michelle said. We support the bill for 3 reasons. Valuation of complex properties is just maybe uniquely in the board's expertise. They assessed almost $95 billion of property last year, almost all of it complex properties. That is, to give you an idea of the magnitude of that, that's more than the complete assessed valuation of 46 of the 58 counties. So it's a lot of property under the board's expertise, all of it very complex. In the past, when the legislature deregulated the electrical industry and utilities had to spin off the power plants and they went to local jurisdiction, they've ended up, the counties requested the board take them back because, again, the board's expertise in this area we expect that that would continue if 661 is adopted as well. Michelle touched on uniformity, and you've heard from Southwest Airlines. Putting it at the board in one place is the logical extension of that. You're going to have one entity assessing all airlines, and that would be a good thing. And for those reasons, we support the bill.
Thank you so much. Others in support of this measure? Anybody else in support? I knew it would get.
Kathy Van Austin, MBM Strategy Group, representing United Airlines. We are in strong support of the bill. I won't repeat everything, but I've worked on the bill that Assemblyman Horton carried, AB 964, back in 2005. We were very hopeful that the lead county system would be a practice that might work. Unfortunately, it's improved the system, but with United Airlines, we file in 12 counties. Again, we have the same issues that Southwest has, and would just welcome the efficiencies with the methodology being included in this bill. The counties should remain whole and save the expenses of actually doing the assessments and create great efficiencies for the airlines. So we encourage your support for the bill.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, members, John O'Malley with California Advocates on behalf of our client, Delta Airlines. We are in strong support of this legislation. It would add some efficiency, stability to a system that is arguably broken. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chair and members, Kate Bell with Capital Advocacy on behalf of American Airlines. In strong support, we thank the author for bringing forth this important measure.
Mr. Chair and members, Joe Ackler on behalf of Alaska Airlines, that we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Therese Tomei with the California Taxpayers Association, and we'd like to address the appropriateness of moving this particular assessment to the Board of Equalization. As you're well aware, Article 13, Section 19 authorizes the Board of Equalization to assess railroads, utilities, and others that are more of a statewide impact that transcend local jurisdiction. The same article and provisions also authorize the legislature to allow the Board of Equalization, upon approval by the legislature, to assess other utilities in similar jurisdictions. So we believe not only is this appropriate, but it's also a way to streamline the process. The local assessors last year came in and asked the state for $7.5 million because they had backlog in their assessment workload. That shows that the assessors needed some additional support, that they were overwhelmed by some of the workload, and we believe that this is one way to move that workload and alleviate some of the backlog at the assessor's office or some of the work that they're currently doing, and provide the BOE the authority to provide more uniformity for the airline assessments. We urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else in support? Opposition? Got to be Larry Stone's got to be here. Haven't seen him for a zillion years. Isn't that your guy? Your county?
My assessor is here. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Mark Church, and I am the San Mateo County Assessor. And I'm here today in my capacity as County Assessor and on behalf of the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors to express strong opposition to SB 661. There is no reason for centralized assessments of aircraft as SB 661 requires. The lead county process, created in 2005, has worked well. It has reduced the administrative burden to both industry and counties by having a single point of contact. Currently, airlines only need to interact with the lead county on the valuation of their fleet of aircraft. The chair county of the Assessor's Aircraft Subcommittee creates the valuation tables used by all lead counties. The lead county then calculates the fleet values based on those tables and the fleet data from the airlines for all affected counties in the state. As a result, the assessments have been uniform throughout the state. Also, SB 661 would bifurcate the assessment system of airlines in the state. A hybrid system of state and local assessments will not streamline the process, but rather will make it more inefficient and burdensome with an additional layer of reporting to another agency. This bill only transfers the assessment responsibility for airline personal property to the BOE. Airlines will still have to deal with the county assessors regarding their real property, terminal fixtures, hangar fixtures, possessory interests. Business property statements will still need to be filed with the assessors, and under SB 661, a separate statement for all personal property will now need to be filed with the BOE.
But isn't there a distinction? I mean, it seems to me there's a pretty big distinction between a hangar or real property, which is affixed to the ground, versus an airplane that moves all over the place. I mean, you know, it's fundamentally different. Certainly, they've got to file. Any company, General Motors files for property tax in the county if they own property in your county, but they certainly don't file for things that they have in other jurisdictions or things that move around. I mean, it seems to me that that's a pretty, making that statement doesn't really address the issue.
Well, the point is that there's an additional layer of reporting. There will be assessments at the local level for land and fixtures and possessory interests. And then there will be assessments at the state level for the personal property, which include the aircraft. So right now, there's only one single agency where the reporting is done, whereas under SB 661, you'd have an additional layer of reporting.
Yeah, but you got an additional layer of reporting, but how do you answer the handsome gentleman from Southwest Airlines who showed us a stack of 380 pages versus 16 pages, and the complexity and the costs? In other words, you tried a system, okay, just without regard to issue, just you tried a system with a lead agency, said we're going to give this a shot, and it sounded like, despite its beautiful inspiration, it didn't result in the outcome you wanted. So forget about the fact that you're the assessor, but just from a management standpoint, if somebody comes in and says, I got 380 pages versus 16, I have hundreds of people, staff hours versus a few, other jurisdictions it's working, we tried a plan, it didn't work. Why is that something we shouldn't try? We already tried this other system, it didn't seem to work so well.